Blackballed. 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 Blackballed.
What is up, everybody? My name is James D. Fiore, and this is Blackballed. One of my favorite things to do when I was a kid was, and I don't remember the artist's name at this point in time, but it'll probably come back to me. Donato, maybe? I used to get the Sunday Sun because my dad used to like the sports section of the Sunday Sun, and I used to flip as soon as I could to the page that showed the political cartoon. I didn't even know probably the context of it. I just was sort of amazed at this single frame that had such prominence in like the comment section of the Toronto Sun, a paper that I never read as an adult, but nonetheless. And I was always sort of wondering what I was looking at. I couldn't make out the context. I couldn't decipher it because I was a kid. The only other cartoon that ever came to mind that had single frame cartoons was Ziggy. By the time I got older, I realized I shouldn't have been laughing at any of those Ziggies because they weren't that funny. But my guest today, you know him because you know him from his art, from his political cartoons. He started off in Halifax. He moved on to, I think he was doing National Post and Maclean's, and now he works for the Washington Post. And his name is Michael Datter. Michael, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. How did you get your start? Because I always imagine political cartoonists have like a real political bent, like they're a political junkie or something, because you have to be able to get politics in order to do what you do. But when I started reading, I did my Michael Datter deep dive today, and it was, it seemed like you were more of an artist than a political junkie. So maybe you can clarify that for me.
I don't know. I think I'm both. I don't think there's one thing that stands out more. I'm both an artist and a political junkie. Throughout my career, I've met a lot of cartoonists, and I've met a lot of cartoonists who went into the job they got into politics because that's where the job of being a political cartoonist was. And I've met other cartoonists who were mostly political junkies who drawing was secondary. And but I think I'm both. I would probably, they're exactly equal, I think.
And was it, did you ever read, today I read into some of the history of political cartoons. I just was kind of interested. And so the guy that kept on coming up was this gentleman here. And what was his name again? I always forget his name. Albert Trent. Was that his name?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, I guess so. But the political cartoons back in the day were interesting. I didn't realize that it was a political cartoonist that came up with the elephant and the donkey for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
Oh, cartoonists have come up with a lot of things. Here, one of the most famous things cartoonists have come up with was the name McCarthyism. That was coined by Herblock,
wow.
of the Washington Post. A lot of words that we've known, and they're not a huge number, have been coined by cartoonists, and a lot of things. So I'm not. Yeah, I did know that the elephant and the donkey were done by cartoonists.
Yeah,
cartoonists are the ones that use it now.
Well, that's the funny part of it, because when I was younger, I was always like, because I've been a political junkie. This is kind of funny. I became interested in politics. Do you remember the Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing?
Yeah, of course. It's one of the most important movies.
I totally agree.
Of our lifetime.
I 100% agree. And as a 14-year-old, I watched that in my living room, and I'm getting goosebumps right now because it's you're right. It's such a good film. But when Spike Lee's character Mookie threw that can through the window, I didn't know how to feel because I didn't know what I was watching when he did that. I didn't understand the layers of politics behind it because I didn't know what politics was. And so my introduction into politics was racial politics, and I rewound that scene over and over and over again, and that is why I started covering politics. That's why 10 years later I was a political freelance journalist. It was because of that movie. And so it's interesting how art can sort of bridge that gap between what you don't know and then what you're able to understand after that. And I was just wondering if there was a moment like that for you.
Oh, there were several. Um, um, I would say the number one moment for me was not the number one. My introduction to politics through movies was All the President's Men. You know, I'm 55, so when Watergate happened, I barely remember it because I'm not that old. But I do remember All the President's Men. So that was my movie that introduced me to politics. I would say the thing um, that stands out as me wanting to include politics in my art, because I didn't always want to be a political cartoonist. I wanted to be a painter at first.
Mhm.
The moment that solidified me wanting to add political to my art was U2's War. I was a kid. I didn't really know who U2 was, and I was at a party, and someone played Sunday Bloody Sunday, and I just had to know who this band was, and
Did you know what the song was about when you were listening to it, or did someone have to tell you? Because it was not obvious that it was about, the IRA stuff that was happening
yeah, there was a U2 fan in the room that said this was about the Troubles, and I knew about the Troubles. I mean, I'm a Diatter, which is Belgian, but my mom is a Joyce from New Glasgow, and that's very Irish. I grew up more in an Irish Catholic family than I did in a Belgian anything. Like there was no Belgians around me, so everything around me was Irish. So I knew about the Troubles, and I knew the song was about the Troubles, and it's sort of like for someone to belt out an anthem like that that appeals to kids, that's about some big political turmoil. It just blew my mind. I'm not as into U2 today as I was. I still like U2. I mean,
nobody is
forever. Yeah, I know nobody is. but in the '80s I was, and like when Rattle and Hum came out, I was. Mm-hmm. I've matured since then, and not.
Yeah, the next one was Rage Against the Machine that I can recall. They were when I was in high school. They were the band that taught us about things like the United States war with the Mexicans and things like that, with Bulls on Parade, or just like being against the establishment with "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." I just watched actually the documentary on Netflix for Woodstock '99. I watched that a couple days ago because I was supposed to go to that, and that was another interesting one. Like it became Lord of the Flies, but the reason why I asked though is because the that sort of bridge between art and politics it's been around forever. And in order for you to be good at what you do, and you're amazing at what you do, you can't really be seen. You have to remain objective as a cartoonist. Do you not?
No. You mean
no,
unbiased or?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you're not waving pom poms for any politician, basically.
Oh no, I'm not partisan. Mm-hmm. A cartoonist is very biased though, and I'm expressing my opinions, but when I say bias, I mean that I'm biased for my views. I'm not a Democrat or a liberal or a conservative or a Republican or NDP or anything. Mm-hmm. In fact, I don't like anybody. And the most annoying thing is to be called Big L liberal, like Liberal Party liberal, because Because I criticized the conservatives a lot. I criticize the liberals as well.
Oh, I know.
But the most annoying thing is for them to call me. I am hardly a liberal, and anybody in the Liberal Party would agree with me, not the conservatives, not the conservative spin on me being a liberal.
No, well, like if you're good at what you do, I've noticed that, especially in the last 5 years, if you're good at what you do and you do your thing in the public sphere, one week you're going to be called a Nazi, the next week you're going to be called a commie, and that's just the way it is, right? So
Yeah, well, that's called being a good cartoonist. If you have everybody liking you one week and everybody else liking you the next, or disliking you,
mhm.
you know.
I'd like to go through a bunch of your stuff, and I just want to get your thoughts on it, because and I'll give you mine as well, because first of all, this is my favorite one I think that you've done, because at the time I wrote a piece that went viral about the sort of hypocrisy about this. And just for those listening, it's the cartoon is it was right after the Saudi arms deal was finalized by the Liberal government. It was initiated by the Harper government, but when Justin Trudeau's government came in, they, I guess, solidified it or finalized it. And it is a picture of Justin Trudeau in like one of these like little mini tanks with a Saudi, and he's running over a Saudi woman that was carrying a sign that said "Women's Rights," and the caption is "I'm a feminist." Can you talk about this a little bit and tell me what the backlash was like? Because I remember at the time that people were they went hard on you with this one.
Oh, did they? You know what? If they went hard on me for that one, I don't remember it. But I'm not saying they didn't. They probably did. I just wasn't paying attention. What would you like to know about it? It was just one of those days. I mean, the Canadian government's been selling those labs to Saudi Arabia or other dictatorships, really, for years, and different governments have done it. On that day, I don't remember what the side story was, but there was a side story about feminism, and I just added the two together. I'm not even sure I added them together all that eloquently, but I stand by the cartoon. It was.
I think it's like when I read it, it was the inflection that I think people put on Justin Trudeau's voice when they read the sentence "I'm a feminist" in their head. Because when I read it, it was like, I'm a feminist. Like it was like that. And when I talk to people, that's how they read it too. Like
that's how I wanted you to read it. I wanted to tell you the truth. I want people to read everything politicians say with a kind of quacky voice.
Yeah, don't blame me. Let's go through some more, because I can't get enough of them. And I don't know how you want to do this, because I asked
really.
Well, I asked a couple of political cartoonists over the last year or two to come on the show, and most of them are pretty gun shy to come on the show. And then, when I would talk to them about their work and stuff to see if I could get them to come on the show, they didn't want to talk about their work. The work speaks for itself, they would say. So I don't know if this is like weird for you or anything, but let's give it a go.
I don't mind doing it. I do it all the time. I'm not one to seek out these interviews, but I get enough of them that I say yes when I can.
Yeah. Well, you were gracious enough. I didn't bug you too hard, so maybe that's
no. I just you were fine, but I felt like I couldn't do it the first time, so I felt like I'd make time to do it this time.
Well, that is more than appreciated. So let's go. Let's see if we can go liberal and then conservative and a little bit, but just for fun. But this one was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, he's from Newfoundland. I'm from Atlantic Canada.
It's just so for the listeners, because like a bunch of my audience doesn't watch, they listen. So it's a picture of Rex Murphy, and he's looking pretty disheveled. And the caption is "Horton here's an arsehole," with Horton why am I forgetting the name of? Tell me the name.
Rex
please.
Murphy.
Not Rex Murphy. The famous artist. Yeah.
Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, it's written in that Dr. Seuss kind of font sort of thing with the background green, and it says Horton here's an arsehole. I like the Rex Murphy picture because I made a joke on Twitter about, because one of his eyes is so bulgy that I wrote to him and I said, look, you have to turn the vacuum off before you check the blockage because his eye was so far sticking out of his head. How long does it take you to do these?
It takes. Sorry, I had to plug my computer in. I'm getting.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm just trying to not run out of power. That's all.
Okay.
How long does it take me to do them? Anywhere
Yeah.
from 1 hour to 7 hours. I mean, but hardly any take 7 hours. But I would say the average amount of time for one cartoon would be 3.5 hours.
And you do, I think I read like 7 to 10 a week or something like that.
I used to do 7 to 10 a week. I do now.
Okay.
I do 6. I do about 6 now.
Okay. And Washington Post, and you were syndicated across the country for a while, were you not?
Yeah, I was syndicated. I won't even say who I was syndicated through, just not to give them a plug. But yeah, I wasn't happy with syndication. I'm not happy with giving my cartoons to a newspaper for $7 a pop, or sometimes $2 a pop. So I gave it all up. One day I just felt like they weren't putting my stuff out prominently enough, and I just said I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to syndicate anymore.
And was one of the reasons that Trump cartoon?
No. That I gave up syndication? No, I simply gave up syndication partially because of my syndicate. And things I found out about it. And the other reason was I wanted a job. I didn't want newspapers have the ability to put my cartoon in their newspaper and then I get what, $2 or $5 for it, or sometimes you get $20 or $30. But I didn't want newspapers to think that I come cheaply. I don't come cheaply. So I was able to ask for more money from other papers because of it. So there
was some controversy. There was some controversy last year with this Trump cartoon. The picture is Trump on his golf course, and it was the famous I guess photo of, was it a father and his daughter that were part of like the migration convoy that was found dead? Yeah.
Well, it was more than a controversy. I got fired. So I was working for the Irvings in New Brunswick, and it was a constant struggle to get cartoons in because they are far right publication. Like all the Irving papers are or were. They since have sold their newspapers to CanWest Global or whatever. I constantly had little fights with them trying to get cartoons in, and they weren't running Trump cartoons. And little did I know that I was on the chopping block. I didn't know, but I only had 1 week to go before I was terminated. Behind the scenes, there was talks between my editorial page editor and probably the Irvings, Jamie Irving, most likely. And they decided, one of them decided to get rid of me. Probably Jamie Irving got fed up and wanted to get, I don't know what happened. That's behind the scenes. I don't even know why I'm speculating. All I know is that it was a Wednesday and I was supposed to be let go that Friday. I had no idea. On that Wednesday, I drew that cartoon. I didn't draw it for them. I drew that cartoon. I posted it online, and an hour after it was posted, and I had all those fights about the Trumps and Irvings, and I don't know what that was about. I don't know if they were trying to suck up to the Trump, but the Irvings were trying to suck up to Trump, or they didn't want to piss off. They were never clear why they didn't want to run Trump cartoons. Anyways, I posted that cartoon on Twitter. It went viral. I immediately had. I don't think I ever saw a cartoon take off like that cartoon.
Yeah.
And I was let go an hour later. So
Wow.
I posted I was let go, and everybody thought it was because of the cartoon. I thought it was because of I thought at first it was because of the cartoon. I didn't know that I was already I didn't say that online, but I thought I was because of the cartoon. Everybody else thought it was because of the cartoon. And uh, you thought the cartoon went viral before. Once I said I was fired, it went super viral.
Yeah.
That was a career ender. I thought my career was over. I thought I was going to have to pick up another job someplace. Like I didn't know how, even though they didn't pay that well, I thought I was going to have to pick up another job. It was like my career has been up and down. Um, but anyways, there was a huge backlash at the paper.
Yeah.
They, I found out later that they had planned to let me go anyways. So I don't think the cartoon caused me to get fired. I think it quickened my pace out the door. I don't know.
Right.
For whatever reason, they weren't going to wait till Friday anymore. I had to be gone. I was supposed to be given 2 weeks notice. No 2 weeks notice. I mean, the cartoon went crazy viral. So
Yeah.
I was being attached to the Telegraph Journal, right? The cartoon, that's the cartoonist for the Telegraph Journal. That's the cartoonist for the Telegraph Journal. I don't know if they had business deals with Trump or what, because they were the Irvings, right? I don't know what was going on, but that cartoon sped up my demise. That's all. People thought I was fired for it, but I think it sped up my demise.
Well, it's better, maybe your demise with their paper, but I mean, it probably gave your. I didn't know your career was up and down. I don't really know much about the job security of a political cartoonist, right?
It's not
But
very
like,
good.
no, well, you're so dope.
FYI.
You're so good at it. Yeah, but you're so good at it. Like, I mean,
Oh, there's lots of cartoonists that are good at cartooning that have been let go. I mean, it's not a. I don't know if you Google fired and cartoonist or laid off and cartoonist, you'll see how many cartoonists have lost their jobs, and we're talking hundreds right now. In the past 10 years,
I know a lot of artists, and they get fired a lot because they're lazy, right? But if I can tell you're not lazy, but like if you're in the business of political cartoons and you're a publisher, and you're hiring someone who's in the business of political cartoons and you're a publisher, like you know what you're getting involved with, unless you're asking them to be partisan, right? Like this is what they do. They kick the piss out of politicians. So it's amazing to me that someone would ever hire someone that does your job and then get mad at you for doing something really good, really biting on one side or the other, unless they're just exposing themselves as some sort of ideologue.
They are an ideologue. They're ideological. I mean, they're a far right conservative newspaper or newspaper conglomerate, or they were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just wanted oil and gas cartoons. I was working for, as I said, I was just working for an oil and gas company. I wasn't working for a newspaper. You could argue that I wasn't even, okay. So every day I'd try to do something that I agreed with, that I could sign my name to, and they were looking for something else. You know what I mean? So it was every day, it was a struggle to get something past the goalie. And the goalie was Jamie Irving. And sometimes he would axe a cartoon at 4:30 in the afternoon and then still expect me to fill in. Still finish a cartoon, and I'd be on another deadline working on it, and I'd get a call from the Irvings looking for something that I didn't have. So if you look at some of my cartoons I drew back in those days, there was forget the cross hatching. It was just trying to get it done.
Did you ever have the thought? You don't have to tell me the answer to this, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm diminishing your integrity, because I am totally not doing that. But I know what it's like. I know very well what it's like to have a job where before I finish the piece that I'm writing, I filter it through my editor brain, because I know the editor likes or dislikes this, and I know I shouldn't do that, but sometimes for job security I would have to. Did you ever have to play?
Oh, you mean self-censor?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Any cartoonist who says they never self-censor are liars, because you always have those ideas. You always get, every so often you get one of those ideas that, you know,
Yeah.
that'll, that you like, but that the newspaper will hate.
Yeah.
And rather than have the fight over it, you just do something else.
Like,
You
would you
might
be able
save
to?
it and post it online. You might save the idea and post it online. But every any cartoonist who says they don't at least change their mind on an idea because they know the paper won't run it.
Like,
It's not really it's doing your job. It's not self-censorship. It's doing your job. You got
but
to
you
get
don't.
something that you can publish. And then now I like going past the line, but I like going past the line just far enough that it gets published. I find a
Right.
day where a cartoon doesn't get published is a fail.
It would be amazing to see like my dad uncensored, where it's like you just do whatever the hell you want as a political cartoonist. Just
Well,
because I
okay.
mean, I picture things like Matt Gaetz holding a Toys R Us shopping bag. You know?
Well, okay. You are getting unfiltered theater. You aren't getting censored theater, but you are getting mainstream theater. I mean,
Right.
you know, you know, I don't work for Penthouse. You know, I can't just do dirty joke after dirty joke after dirty joke. I can do dirty jokes sometimes, you know, as long as it's not misogynistic or you know, if it's just a slight jab that is
But
slightly
we like smart theater
you
anyway.
know,
Smart
little
mainstream
blue.
theater is dope. Like this one, I enjoy this one. And this is another one of those cartoons. This one is for those that are listening, this is Justin Trudeau stepping on a rake that's whapping him in the face. But he's surrounded by other rakes, and the idea is that he's going to sideshow Bob himself to many rakes.
It's a sideshow Bob cartoon for sure.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's totally. You know what? I'm not the only one. I remember that Sideshow Bob episode, and I did a cartoon on it soon after. Nobody got it.
No, really?
Nobody got it. You had to have the side, but after years of repeats and people seeing that, they got it finally.
Well, we're both probably Simpsons people, right? Like
I'm not a Simpsons person. I'm a Simpsons the first 7 years person.
That's what we all are. But
yeah, I know you are. I'll even stretch it till 10. 10 it wasn't so bad, but after that it's unwatchable.
No, it's not. You think it is, and I'll tell you why.
Oh no, it's
no. But listen, I'm gonna blow your mind here. Think for a second, because I was exactly like you. I watched the first 8 to 10 seasons, and then it started to lose me, right? And I was just like, I don't know, I can't watch The Simpsons anymore. And so I missed 20 seasons of The Simpsons because of that. And then I got 20 years older, and I had kids. And so my son and I started watching The Simpsons when he was like 5. I don't know if that was the right call or not, because he's very sarcastic now, but that's what we did.
That's okay. My kids were 5 when they watched The Simpsons. Not Family Guy, but Simpsons.
No, not Family. Jesus Christ, Family Guy is way too bad.
I don't know if Family Guy is good for them now in their 20, but
I don't know if I'm good for. I don't know
if anybody's good for the Family Guy. I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand how they get away with what they get away with sometimes. But
I'm kind of glad they do, though. But
hey, listen, I'm a cartoonist. I'm full support, but I'm not.
There'd be people always credit The Simpsons for the Family Guy, but really there'd be no Family Guy without South Park. I think South Park is more of a road paver for Family Guy.
Yeah, I didn't watch
the envelope pushing department.
I love South Park. I didn't watch a lot of South Park. It just wasn't. I don't think I was available for me. But I have seen a lot of South Park. I mean, I know this.
But what I was going to say about The Simpsons is that so I took my 20-year hiatus from The Simpsons because I thought that it lost me. And I was like, there's no point in watching this. I think that the writers started writing for themselves rather for the audience at like season 10 or 11 and their age, because I found myself at 40 years old watching the show that I abandoned when I was like 20, and I loved it. And I was like, how did I find this unwatchable? This is great.
Well, if you watch the first 7 seasons, you'll see they're structured in a story setting. So Lisa becoming a vegetarian, which is classic, or Malibu Stacy, that was another classic.
Yeah,
they have a start, a middle, and an end. Start, middle, and end. You know what I mean? And and it was great political satire. I find it unwatchable now because it's just it starts off
It's for
at
ADHD people now.
something. Yeah, it just follows stream of thought. It's a stream of thought show. It just follows the jokes. It doesn't have a clever narrative. It's just joke. It's just setting up jokes until and then the show ends.
Yeah,
It's
not,
true.
you know,
It's true. There's no
I'm gonna send you
there's
a
no
couple
story
of like
anymore.
a couple of good episodes in like season 24 that I'm sure you've
You
never
send
seen.
me your favorite. You send me your favorite 3 episodes of the past 10 years, and I'll watch them, and I
Okay.
will tell you the truth.
I will.
But nothing can hold up to Malibu Stacy or Lisa turns into a vegetarian,
Yeah,
or
because
Homer
especially
stays
when
home for church. I mean, come on,
he's
those
watching CFL
like
football.
all I have to do is tell you. I can't even tell you. I don't think people can tell you what the series was about unless they went to Australia and it was a series of jokes. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, you
Yeah.
send me 3 of your favorite episodes from the past 10 years. I'll watch them and I'll tell you what I think.
But I know what you mean though. The first like 7-8 seasons, like they even had that almost like a Full House-ish kind of way of wrapping up the show with something good. You know, like a family moment, and then Matt Groening's name would appear. And you're just like, oh, you know, like it never ended on like a sarcastic tone. It always seemed to end on a nice, you know, they even had
You mean the
music.
early ones or the later
early ones? The early
Yeah.
ones.
Well, the other complaint I have about The Simpsons is Homer's too stupid now. He can't even put on his pants. You know, when he used to be. Now he was never smart, but he used to. I don't know. I can't explain it. He's just too dumb. They make like the.
Well, you may have missed it that we found out in like season 22 or something that when he was a little boy, he stuffed a crayon all the way up his nose until it touched his brain.
I did see that. My kid,
Yeah,
like I said, I have kids too, and I have watched some episodes of The Simpsons. My kids both
and he
went
took
through
it out,
a
and he's like a
period.
genius, and then he put it back in so he could be dumb again. It's just
Yeah, I saw that episode. I saw that one. I might have through osmosis have seen a lot of these episodes that you.
Yeah,
that
maybe.
you- that
Okay,
you
sorry
like.
about that. That was a weird Simpsons pivot.
I
But,
don't care.
Let's go back.
It's your
Yeah, no, I love it.
podcast. Whatever you want to talk. Whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I want to go back to your cartoons for a second because I want to go to this one. The reason why I want
trouble for that.
Well, this is the Pope. Everyone that watch it, my viewers understand where my position is on this shit. I think we should invade the Vatican. I think that we should take all their riches and disperse it amongst the families of the children that they've raped and killed over the last 100 years. That's my honest opinion on the Catholic Church. So I'm probably going to be a little bit more controversial than you in that regard. The images of the Pope, he's praying, he's sitting in his wheelchair, and the thought bubble says, or the dialogue bubble, whatever you call that, it says, sorry. I have a confession. I didn't really understand this one. Because it says talk and then it says action, and I don't know what it's pointing to. And it's probably me being stupid. I'm not blaming you at all for this because I know that you're the professional here. And
well, I don't know. I don't know if it's you being. I don't know if it's you being stupid. I don't know if it's one of my best cartoons. The talk is sorry, and the action is he's not going anywhere because his hair is up on blocks like a car be up on blocks. So that cinder block is like, when you slows up on blocks, it might be something dated. You don't see too many cars on blocks these days, like you did when I was 10 or 15. So, anyways, that's where it's from. It's a wheelchair, but it's on cinder blocks, so it's not going anywhere. So if I pointed to action in I don't know.
Well, let me do it like this. What is your thoughts on that issue? On the issue of the Pope coming here to say sorry for a century of pedophilia and murder? Sorry, that's the way I look at it.
Surreal, isn't it? Well, you just answered. You asked the question, answered the question for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, Like how
People
many
don't want to talk
how
about
many
this.
apologies they have to give people back, give money. You know, everybody thinks that this issue is an old issue from 100 years ago, when whatchamacallit,
Residential school to be closed was in like the
residential
80s or
school.
something.
I'm just thinking, it closed in the 80s. It's not that old. There's people. I've talked to people about it. First Nations people, and they started up. It's right on the surface.
Yeah.
Like there are people directly. There are thousands of people still affected, and we're not talking people. We're talking the people that were hurt by it. And I don't know, for the Catholic Church to say sorry,
it's condescending.
I don't know what it is. I grew up Catholic.
I find it condescending.
Catholics are some of the most. Anyway, it's going to get in trouble by saying something. So you stop me just in time.
No, I'm not going to stop you, especially if you're going to get yourself into trouble.
Probably want me.
Okay, but we could.
I thought about it. I was going to say something about Catholics. I'm a Catholic, so I'm allowed. I'm allowed 18 years of catechism, 18 years of church. I did all my sacraments, except I even did the marriage sacrament. The only one I have left is,
and priesthood.
Pretty much, I don't go to church, but and most Catholics would say, well, most of the front row Catholics, as I call them, the religious ones, would say I'm no longer a Catholic. But I put in 18 years of Catholicism. I'm allowed to say whatever I want about the Catholic Church, and I would dare someone to say I dare a Catholic to say I didn't put in my penance.
Yeah, we have the same bio.
That's all I'm going to say about
I was
the Catholic
raised
Church.
in. Yeah, tell us what you really mean. No, but we have the same bio. I had I did all those things too: First Communion, confession, confirmation. I never got actually married, which was I dodged a bullet there. But the idea that, and by the way, you are still part of the Catholic Church, because have you ever explored the process that you have to go through to get yourself removed from the registration at the diocese that you got your first communion in? It's insane. So right now, wherever you grew up, but you're still counted among the flock, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's to get my money. It's if you don't go to church every week, you're just Catholic. But with that said, the only reason why I'm on any diocese list would be because they want me.
Well, you're on the diocese list.
They want me to pay my.
But they want to make it seem like the active pool of Catholics is larger than what it really is, because all of these lapsed Catholics like you and I are still counted. If you look at the demographics because they just add up all of the names in their diocese and they pull it all together and they say, this is how many Catholics are in Canada. But like half of those Catholics haven't been into a church since the last funeral or wedding they went to. That's the only time they go.
Yeah.
I was going to start this whole thing about
removing
ourselves from the. I was going to start I wanted to energize a whole movement of lapsed Catholics to actually go through the process and remove themselves from the count, so that the numbers of Catholics would plummet. But I don't think I have enough reach, so I didn't do that. Yeah, I know. Let's move on to this one's great. This is Joe Biden and his wife. He said in bed, he says, I didn't want to lose political capital fighting guns like Obama did. And his wife says, you needn't worry. You don't have any political capital. What are your thoughts on Joe Biden?
Well, we are following Donald Trump, so
Yeah.
it would be better than Donald Trump.
Well,
And
that's
Joe Biden's, you mean, on a week where Joe Biden's had a lot of success. So I'm thinking very positively of Biden. I'm thinking, it takes it takes some skill to do the things that he got accomplished in the last little while. But then you see him talk, and you realize that he's such an old. I mean, he's old. With that said, he's just a lot lately, and I think he's a better president than a lot of people give him. That's all I'm going to say, really. Whether I want him
Do
to
you think as a
run
cartoonist?
again, or I don't know. I think
no.
it depends on what the Republicans do. Is Trump out or is he in? If he's in, I think Biden can beat him. But I don't know if anybody can touch DeSantis if DeSantis is the candidate. At least but you never know. Politics can change on a dime. I mean, to me, this week, Biden changed on a dime. I mean, all the successes. I'm less. I feel more about his administration today than I did 5 days ago. So,
Yeah, no, I can see that. I look, I'm one of those guys that's like, I feel like the Democrats always put up the wrong candidate. Because they have this weird loyalty to seniority, and the Republicans do too. The Trump's kind of the asterisk in that, but like the Bob Dole was like the senior statesman that got to run. And then it became a little weird with George Bush and stuff. But both parties seem to do that a lot, where they put the nomination up, and it's like the guy who's been with the party for the longest, but not necessarily the most popular. Like, I think that the reason why Trump won is less about Trump and more about Hillary Clinton. Like whether you like her or not, the fact remains.
But you're right about that.
She was reviled.
You're right about that. Trump, when he ran, was not the Donald Trump of today. He was a different creature, and that man shouldn't have been able to win. It was the Democrats, Clinton, that lost. With that said, and now here's agree with what you were saying, how they give everybody a turn and it has to go in order. I think Hillary's turn was in 2008 when Obama came along. Obama was. I'm not saying that I wasn't happy about Obama. I was ecstatic about it. It was great, but I always felt it was Clinton's turn and then Obama's. Because if Hillary could win that 2008 election, and I think she possibly could have won 2012. And then it was Obama's turn. And if they had did it that way, there would have been no Trump, because Obama would have cleaned Trump's ass. But with that said, parties don't pick. I'm only saying this because you said that they depict them in order. I think in that case they did not. And also, if they were going to presidents in order, it might have been instead of Trump. Like, Trump came in and kind of stole the party from the establishment.
Well, he did what Obama did too, though. Obama did something.
Well, Obama came in and the establishment, came in, but with Obama didn't steal the thunder from the establishment. The establishment went, oh, Obama's really good, with Obama instead of Hillary.
It wasn't the last primary that wasn't fixed. Like, because it did feel like the fix was in against Bernie Sanders the first time, especially. Like the way that the way that the
Well, I don't
Clinton
believe it was
campaign.
fixed.
Go ahead.
But I don't think I don't think even
The fix not meaning like they cheated with ballot counting, not like that. But the DNC was supposed to remain impartial, and it really tilted its power towards Hillary Clinton against Bernie Sanders.
well, it did,
sort of what
but
I'm
it didn't do it. It didn't. It felt like Bernie Sanders was too far left, and their candidate of choice was, more of a centrist, which is, party establishments
Mhm.
want electability, and so they tilted the race towards who they felt would win, whether that's right or not. And it's possible they were dead wrong.
Yeah.
I actually, it's most likely they were dead wrong because, well, Hillary lost.
Not only that, but like if you look at
A
the
lot of
exit polling, the exit polling in 2016 showed that Trump supporters, their second choice was Bernie Sanders. It's a weird country.
Well, some of those Bernie Sanders supporters went to Trump, which is like,
like 3 million of them.
like going to your exact opposite. It shows how much they pay attention to politics, that someone could go, well, Bernie's not running, so I'll just throw my to Trump. That's like, saying, I don't know. That's like saying, let's like throwing you at the devil if I don't know what.
But if it went the other way, if it was like if Trump was defeated in the primary and those 3 million voters went to Sanders, we would all be calling it like, oh look, like there's a bunch of people that are not ideological where they don't just have to vote red or blue, they can vote for the other side if they like the candidate. So it just depends on, I guess, where you're coming from. I want to go over this one though, because this one is great. This is Joe Biden after he had pulled out of Afghanistan, and a carpet says hope, and he's pulling the carpet out of a young schoolgirl with the word. She's obviously an Afghani schoolgirl. That was, I thought this was really powerful. I thought this was an understated story at the time, because everyone was sort of happy that that war was coming to an end. And then what was it, like a week later, the Taliban had regained control of Afghanistan. I think about that a lot, actually, about what was that 20 years for?
Well, I felt like that's Biden's big blunder, getting out of Afghanistan. Now, many Americans would be screaming at me saying, America can't police every place. It can't be everywhere. But there weren't that many troops in Afghanistan keeping the lid on that pot. There were just many. And it wasn't costing America that much to keep that lid on. It was actually close to effortless. I mean, they're probably a vet from Afghanistan now screaming at me for saying that, because nothing's easy. But America was to the point where it had, a number what it had historically there, holding down
it was
the
like
fort
8 to 10,000
and allowing little girls to go to school, which is of at least most of Kabul. With girls, and the Taliban were scared of upsetting the Americans. They didn't go out in the countryside. It was a different matter. There was probably all kinds of happening. A lot of the country was stable, in quotes, for Afghanistan, and what they were achieving there was important, and it wasn't costing a lot, or at least, you know, it wasn't costing like what it costs to keep Iraq. It was minuscule compared to what it costs to keep, you know, Baghdad secure. You know?
Obama made a similar error.
I don't know.
When he left Iraq.
I thought it was a mistake. I see Biden's point. He probably, his bone of contention was probably putting troops in harm's way for not as big as Bush's error going into Iraq, but
yeah, no, I know that must have been a fun time for you.
This did when you leave a country where you're the biggest, most powerful military presence, you leave a pretty big vacuum, and in that vacuum, lots of bad things can happen. It did in Iraq and in Afghanistan, but the difference was in Afghanistan, a few troops. It was, as I was concerned, was cost effective. Iraq was not.
We have a little delay here, so I can see your face is a little bit confused. But yeah, so yeah, we just have a tiny bit of delay here. It's like 4 seconds or something. So we're gonna wrap up in a couple minutes, anyways. But I just wanted you to take a look at
4 seconds is
yeah, no, it is a big delay. It's just started happening in the last couple minutes. This is another Pope one. He's in his Pope mobile and he's wearing a paper bag over his head, and that is self-explanatory. We've already gone over the Catholic thing, and I think that's hilarious. Clinging to power. Justin Trudeau reading a bedtime book, and then in the garbage beside him, there's a book that says "Knowing When to Leave." Are you like me? Do you think that Trudeau, and if he wants his party to remain in power, that a resignation and enough time for a new leader to emerge is probably the better idea because he's so polarizing now?
Well, I drew that cartoon because the Liberals are thinking of a fall election, and to be honest, the last thing, I didn't think we needed the last election. So and for it didn't do anything except for take out Aaron O'Toole, and now he wants to do it again and take Pierre Poilievre.
Aaron O'Toole's looking mighty good right now, by the way.
I'm sick of divisive politics, and I mean, liberals will argue it doesn't matter who's the prime minister, that person will end up being divisive. But this minister is particularly divisive. You know, he's dragging his feet on some things just to keep. And I'm not going to go into it because I don't want.
No, that's right.
It's just his time is up. It's time to move. Yeah, if he had garnered, if Canadians gave him a majority, he could do whatever he wants. Canadians gave him a minority.
Yeah,
it's time for him to move on. It's time for someone else, whether it's Chrystia Freeland or Mark Carney. It's time for a new leader to take over. He won he didn't win a majority or anything. He won a minority. Canadians are getting sick of him. I mean, I would argue that most Canadians probably want him gone.
I would too. We're gonna wrap up in about. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Anyways,
no, not yet. We're gonna wrap up in a couple minutes. Is what I was gonna say, but please go ahead.
I just want to say that Pierre Poilievre can beat Trudeau, and that's the
he can.
Last thing we need.
Before we go, the last turn. Yeah, no, you know what? Finish your thought on Poilievre. Sorry, this delay is like killing this conversation a little bit, and it's not your fault. But say what you were going to say about Poilievre because it's probably important to say because I don't think enough
Well,
people
Poilievre needs
understand
to be.
that he could win.
Poilievre needs to lose the next election. He's not good for the country. He's not. He's a danger to the country. He's worse than Harper, and I think if another election, and I don't think Trudeau can beat him. I think people will hold their nose and vote for Poilievre, and that's the
I
real
agree with
reason
you.
why
I agree with you
it's up.
100%. And I think that if you look at a guy like Trump, imagine you could give Trump like 40 more IQ points, and that's Pierre Poilievre because they attract the same amount of people, but Pierre Poilievre is smarter.
Pierre
And
Poilievre is a lot smarter than Trump, and he's a political animal. And people are. I think the strategy for Pierre Poilievre is more of these wood videos. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but he does
Yeah,
these. Yeah, he does these videos that sort of talks about. Some of them are stupid, and there's one he did in a car just this week that's just.
Oh, that was beyond.
But
Stupid.
some of them are very effective, and he comes across as quite a pleasant guy. I mean, I'm saying he could
Affable.
come across as affable.
Yeah.
But he's actually just masking who he really is, which is, he's a bit of a right-wing kook. And I mean, he talked about tying the Canadian currency to Bitcoin, and he talks about getting rid of the Bank of Canada. I don't know.
His dog whistles are foghorns. Like a month ago or so, he's like, I'm speaking Anglo-Saxon. It's like, why would you?
Stuff shit like that. Yeah, it reminds you of Harper, which if you remember the
old stock,
old stock Canadians, and I don't know. It's Pierre Poilievre is. He'll just
given you're a cartoonist, we'll end it on this because I think that I mean he's the gift that keeps on giving. I have a file photo of Pierre Poilievre looking tough, and I just wanted your thoughts on
that. Well, that's definitely tougher.
Yeah,
that's tougher than Pulpit. Well, I don't know. There's a story of him crying in the office over a girlfriend breaking up with him and nobody being able.
You know who that might have been? Did you know this? That he was once romantically involved with Jenny Byrne when they were in college?
No.
Yeah. Now she manages his campaign. So that's interesting. What are you going to do?
Well, he was could be.
Yeah. Yeah. He was also the youngest.
I look at him and I just don't see someone that I would look up to as a prime minister. Not that I look up to too many prime ministers, but have been as a leader. I just don't see it.
No, you're
He's
right.
Very effective. Like I'll give him a credit. He's a very effective position. But in opposition, your job is to annoy.
Yeah, he was
as prime minister. The last thing you want is someone annoying you all the time.
I know. He was the pit bull. Listen, where can we find your work now, and where can people find you online? And give us a couple of things, and then we'll wrap
just
up.
My name and Twitter and Facebook.
But
Michael I've got to fix that. Well, you can't. I have to update my theater.net. I guess I lost it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
so normally theater.net, and maybe by next week theater.net and Twitter and Facebook, and of course the Washington Post.
Yes. So you'll find Michael's work in the Washington Post. You can find him on Twitter at Deadder. That's DEADD.
And I'll plug the Canadian newspapers too: the Halifax Chronicle Herald, the Toronto Star, and the Ottawa Hill Times.
Perfect. I'm sorry about the connection issues at the end there, but dude, it was a pleasure having you. I thank you so much for coming. I know that you don't do this too often, and I appreciate the time. So thank you very much.
I don't think anybody really noticed the lapse in time.
Sometimes it's only on my
good.
end, and the audience is like sitting there looking at me, wondering why I paused for so long, when I'm really just waiting for you to stop talking. Yeah,
there was no lapse in time on my end, so
okay.
Maybe
so
that was the confusing part. I was talking like there was no problem.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe if there
all
was
these dramatic pauses were just me trying to figure out the tech issues, I guess. But you can maybe draw a cartoon making fun of me. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Thank you very much. Michael Dad, that happens a lot, doesn't it, guys? Where I'm just like sitting there complaining about tech issues that you guys don't even notice. But a big thanks to Michael Datter. He is, again, one of the most prolific and talented political cartoonists, I think, on the planet. There was a couple of cartoons that I wanted to get to that I didn't, such as this one. This one is about Hockey Canada. It's depicting a goaltender. It says this, and his jersey says sexual assault fund, and there's not one puck in the net, and the pucks represent sexual assault claims. So listen, like, he has a dream job as far as I'm concerned. He's able to speak his mind politically, and he's able to do it in a way that's both fun and kind of snarky, satirical. So hats off to Michael Datter. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. And at 10:30 tonight, don't forget, we have, as part of our second half of the doubleheader, John Spencer, who's one of the world's foremost experts on urban warfare. So that should be fun. And then tomorrow, I'm looking forward to this, we have Spenny at 7:00. And Spenny and I are going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. And we've just added LSD to that list. So I hope you guys can make it for that. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. Don't forget, again, tonight at 10:30, we're going to have John Spencer. And we will see you at that time on Blackballed.
Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed.